sitting here somewhere. Where'd you put it, Char?
What book is it?
Did you take it out of my pile to read it again?
Yes. You blame me? Yes.
Hi everyone, it's Lori and I'm here today with Eva and Charlotte. And they have not been in a video for a while because they have been in a swimming pool the entire month of June.
Yep.
So, in between events today, we were able to sit down for this. So we thought we'd do a book tag. We are going to do the mid-year freak out book tag. We were not tagged by anybody, but it seems like a good time to freak out about books.
Yeah. Or about schoolwork that you still need to finish.
Or about swim team ending, or about 4-H projects. There's lots of freaking out to do around here. So we're going to start with books first. So I've got the questions here, so we'll just kind of take turns. So our first question is, what was the best book you've read so far in 2019? Charlotte, I know you're dying to go first. You need to set down some books.
Okay, so I read A Snicker of Magic by Natalie Lloyd this year, and I've read it before, but I didn't enjoy it as much the first time as I did the second time. So, yeah, that's my favorite book of this year.
Okay.
I don't know if this would necessarily be my favorite if I thought about it long and hard, but I'm reading this currently, The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank, and I like it really well. I don't know, this is the definitive edition where they put in all sorts of stuff that they left out in the original, and I don't know if that's better or worse, because some of this stuff I feel like should have been left out, but then there were also things like, out of the respect for the dead, he left out all sorts of parts about where she rants about her mom. I'm like, she's a teenage girl. She's going to rant about her mom. So, it's very good.
As the mother of a teenage daughter, yes. Okay, so the best book I have read so far this year is Virgil Wander by Leif Enger. So it's a story of a guy who lives above a movie theater and owns a movie theater, and he has an accident in his car where he goes off into a lake and he's saved and he has a traumatic brain injury, and it just goes from there. So lots of interesting characters. You don't always know what's going on. Neither does Virgil, and that's okay. Okay, second question. Best sequel so far of 2019. So second or further book in a series is the best one you've read so far this year. Do you have one, Eva?
Yes.
Okay.
Mostly because I don't read that many sequels, it seems like. I've chosen Ember Rising by S.T. Smith, and I actually really did enjoy this, even though, I didn't feel like I would when we first started it, because we had taken so long of a break that I'd kind of forgotten how good it was, but it was really, really good.
Okay.
My book is a book that I obsess about all the time.
Oh, yes. You know what it is now.
Waking Rose by Regina Doman. It is a modern-day fairy tale, Sleeping Beauty, set in a Catholic perspective, and the main character goes into a coma after a brief and traumatic incident, and the person she's in love with has to battle his inner demons and insecurities before he realizes that he loves her and tries to save her.
My best sequel so far this year, I'm kind of cheating. I'm going to go with The Dragon Reborn by Robert Jordan. I started The Wheel of Time this year, so I'm on book 4, I think, and Dragon Reborn is book 3, so it's the last one I finished, but 4 will probably knock it out of its spot because I think I like 4 better so far, but I'm not done, so. Okay. Next question. New release you haven't read but want to. Mine for this is Outer Order, Inner Calm, Declutter and Organize to Make More Room for Happiness by Gretchen Rubin.
She should not be allowed to read this. This would be terrible. No
I
more
think
art supplies.
I think it would be good, and I love Gretchen Rubin,
But-
so I'm gonna read it eventually once the library gets it in. You guys are just sunk.
But
I'm
like
sorry.
the 2000, well, less than 2000, the 2000 books that we have in our house, where will they go?
I wouldn't worry about the books.
Okay.
I'm worrying about my art supplies.
You might need
And
to
my
worry about
Rubik's
your
Cube.
Rubik's Cube. You definitely need to worry about your Rubik's
No.
Cube. Okay, Charlotte?
I have two answers for this question, and they're both very similar, so I think it's fair. The Case of the Perilous Palace by Jordan Stratford is the fourth book of a mystery series that I really enjoy. And Spies in St. Petersburg by Catherine Woodfine is the first book of the Taylor and Rose Sacred Ancient series. And
You really enjoyed her Sinclair mysteries that the characters are coming from.
yeah.
I feel like those should be on my list too. So those two.
I'll read them too.
And
Sounds good.
then we also have this one, and I think this is maybe vaguely new released. I don't know. I feel like it came out recently.
The second book, I think, is a new release.
Oh,
But
okay.
the author sent us both.
But okay.
Because it would be
I'm
really silly
counting
to send
this,
us the
though.
second book.
I'm counting this though because. But I want to read that one, and then I have two others.
And that was The Crowns of Croswald, in case
Oh
you
yes.
didn't read the cover.
Sorry.
By D.E. Knight. Okay.
Okay, then I have White Rose by Kip Wilson, and it's about a German resistance group during World War II. And then my next one is Defying Hitler, the Germans who resisted Nazi rule by Thomas Gordon and Greg Lewis. And neither of those I have, so yeah. Maybe for like my birthday or something?
You can see what she's obsessed with.
Most anticipated release for the second half of 2019. I think I know the answer for all three of
Yeah.
us.
Starsight by Brandon
Starsight by
Sanderson.
Brandon Sanderson. Coming on November 29th, 2019.
Not that we're counting or anything.
I had to check.
Although, slight tear at his cover choice. I feel like it could be
I
better.
don't know what the cover looks like.
It's
It's
not
meh.
fabulous, but
Not
You
as
know.
good as Skyward.
No, Skyward
the
was really
Skyward
good.
cover
This
better.
one's
then again, there could be different covers.
True.
Keep that in
True.
mind. Number 5, biggest disappointment. Anybody want to rant before I rant?
I don't want to go.
You can
First.
rant.
Okay, so I have two disappointing books. I actually have more than two, but I'm only going to talk about two. These are both books that I DNF'd. I did not think they were worth my time. Whereas I've read some other books that I could rant about, but I won't this time. The one I just DNF'd yesterday is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. This book is very hyped up, and it has a really high star rating on Amazon. I was looking at that today. It's like over 4 stars. And then I kind of scrolled down to see about the bad reviews, and pretty much I agree with all the people who've given it 1-star reviews, and most of them have quitted about 30% of the way through the book, which is approximately where I quit. I thought it was going to be a retelling and focusing on the myth, and it's basically a romance novel, and I'm just not interested. So,
I can't blame you.
the other book that I was disappointed in was Always Look on the Bright Side of Life, a sort of biography by Eric Idle, one of the Monty Python people. And it was depressing and not that funny. And so I gave up after like 3 or 4 chapters. I mean, I expected humor and less depressingness. And I get it. It's a sort of biography, so maybe he had kind of a crap life. But I didn't want to read about it, so I quit that one too. Okay, next ranter.
So I kind of brought this upon myself, but
As usual.
of course. But I was really disappointed by Warcross and Wildcard by Mary Lou. And Warcross I read because Eva read it and she liked the ending.
I didn't read the whole thing.
Oh. Well, she sort of read it.
Eva DNF'd it.
Yes. And I was curious about it. And it was awful. I did not really like it. But I was...
But you picked out the second book
But-
at the library
but-
anyway.
Yes.
It was terrible, and you thought you'd read more.
so that I could further, like, annoy myself.
So did you read both of them all the way through?
Yes. They were both horrible.
I should read them someday. They're probably
No.
not that bad.
Since I completely forgot about this question, I'm gonna go with Warcross 2, although I'm not sure if I read it in 2019.
It might have been 2018.
Yeah, close
That's
enough.
fine.
But basically, yeah, I quit halfway through, mostly because, like, there were some bad words and that was Then the story was really good, but the part that got me was the romance part. Like,
And that was like 90% of the book.
really, it was near the end. 'Cause
Yes,
I quit
that was like, oh my goodness, why do you have to do this to people,
like
Arthur?
it was creepy enough because like the guy could read her mind, so they were just like communicating through their mind. I'm like, that's just no.
So this is not
This is just
Children
wrong.
of Blood and Bone. That was also the problem in
No,
Children of
yeah,
Blood and Bone.
Children of Blood and Bone. That is another one that I
Did
could
they read each other's
read.
minds?
He
There
could,
was one
he could
person.
read minds, right? Was
Yeah.
that, I don't know. It was okay, but I don't really care to read the second book that's coming out this year, so
Yeah.
not excited.
So, a book that I was rather surprised that I enjoyed so much was The Summer of Broken Things by Margaret Peterson Haddix. I didn't really think I would enjoy it too terribly much because the description didn't sound the best to me. But I picked it up because Margaret Peterson Haddix is one of my favorite authors, and I really enjoyed it.
Okay. I'll go while you contemplate.
No, I know now.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I at least think I know. So, mine were children. Well, actually, okay, this isn't a series, so it's a Margaret Peterson Haddix series. And is it Children of Exile?
I think so.
Okay, I think the series is called Children of Exile, but the last one, Children of Jubilee, this sounds like a really stupid reason, but I was not thinking it'd be that good because of the cover, and also because of the blurb on the back that's like, these kids are taken to an alien planet in slave labor. I'm like, okay, a little bit out there, but okay. But it turned out to be really, really good, and I really love that series.
Okay. I again have two books that surprised me because I'm into twos. So the one that surprised me most recently was... So the first book that surprised me that Charlotte stole to read and I had to go get is On the Come Up by Angie Thomas. This is a hard title for me for some reason. I picked this up because I had heard some, like, kind of mixed reviews on it. I didn't read Angie Thomas's first book, The Hate You Give. My husband now wants me to check it out from the library so that he can read it. I guess I'll read it too, because he enjoyed this too. So I read it, then he read it, and now Charlotte's reading it. But it's the story of a 16-year-old girl who wants to be a rapper, and just the struggles her family is going through and stuff like that. So it's really interesting. And she's a nerd. We love the fact that she's a nerd. Lots of Star Wars references and stuff in it. So my second book that surprised me was The Daughter of Time by Josephine Tey. And this was a book that my husband suggested for my Catholic 2019 challenge. It was a book about a Catholic monarch, and it's actually a mystery novel about a detective who is lying in a hospital bed and he researches Richard III. And I know that sounds super lame, but it's a fabulous book. And if you can write a book that well where a guy is literally lying in bed researching a dead monarch, I need to read more by her. That's surprising, right? Yeah. Okay. Favorite new author, debut author, or new to you? An author you haven't read before that's your new favorite.
G.K. Chesterton.
Cool, good for you.
Okay, so what G.K. Chesterton? Oh, the Father Brown.
Yeah, Father Brown. That's what I've read so far. But
Are you reading Orthodoxy? Or?
I really want to read Murder in the Cathedral.
The what?
Murder in the Cathedral.
Isn't
I think
it
it's
G.K.?
behind
No,
it.
that's T.S. Eliot.
Yeah, that's T.S. Eliot.
Okay.
Charlotte.
Shame
It's
on
not
me.
G.K. Chesterton.
Why?
Different initial, different last name.
But I want to read more by him because Father Brown is now my favorite detective. And
What are you looking at, Eva?
Nothing. I'm looking at nothing.
Polly. So spacey.
I'm
Okay.
trying to figure out because I don't think I'm gonna do this one because I put down Natalie
Favorite.
Lloyd, but I've only read one and I liked it, but it was okay, so I'm just gonna skip.
You would say Nat. I enjoyed Natalie Lloyd.
yeah,
Yeah,
Natalie Lloyd's awesome.
it was good. I don't know.
Have you done a
should read
Snicker of Magic yet? Okay, you need to read a Snicker of Magic.
Your new favorite author?
Oh, did I forget my new favorite author?
Yes.
You did.
It's because Eva was doing this. What I put down for my new favorite author is Robert Jordan, because when you start reading The Wheel of Time and you're on book 4, you're spending a lot of time with Robert Jordan. But I did enjoy Anna G. Thomas, and I did enjoy Natalie Lloyd. I like a lot of authors. So anyway, newest fictional crush. So do you want me to do my answer first?
Sure.
Because I don't really have a fictional crush, but there is a character in a book that I read recently that has very many of the same qualities of my husband, so I can't think of him without thinking of Brett. So, and that is Raymond from Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. So, that is who, that is fictional Brett. Instead of being a farmer, he's an IT guy that dresses sloppily instead of a farmer that dresses sloppily. And Raymond smokes and Brett doesn't, but beyond that, there's quite a bit in common.
Mine, I'm sure I've had one more recently than this, but new from Revolution is Not a Dinner Party.
Okay, that's not one I expected.
Really? Yeah, I don't know.
This is very stereotypical. Peeta Mellark from The Hunger Games.
That is, that's more what I
Yes.
expected, to be honest, but okay. Newest favorite character. We're going to just continue with my Wheel of Time everything thing. It's Perrin. Perrin from Wheel of Time. He's a blacksmith. He can talk to wolves.
Perrin kind of, to me, that's a girl's name, but okay.
Well, he's a blacksmith, so he can get away with his own name. He's big and strong and has an axe and a hammer and talks to wolves and...
Would not have thought of Perrin. Okay.
I didn't name him.
I'm sure I could have come up with something else, but since this was my last book that I read, Mally from Over the Moon. Which, in one of the Goodreads, summaries I read, they called her Daisy every time. I'm like, her name was not Daisy.
That drives me crazy. Goodreads. You have to have right descriptions. Okay, sure.
This is my go-to answer. Rose Breer from Waking Rose.
Briar.
Briar.
I'm pretty sure it's Briar.
Breer.
It
Ooh.
looks like Breer.
Briar, Rose,
Briar,
Rose,
Rose,
Briar.
Rose, Briar. Okay, book that made you cry.
The Book Thief. Right there.
Same.
Bridge to Terabithia.
I didn't read that one this year, but same.
I don't remember if I cried during that.
If you
I'm
didn't,
heartless.
You have no soul.
I saw it all.
Book that made you happy.
All Things Wise and Wonderful by James Herriot.
That was a good one. That is a happy book.
I mean, not all of it, but the
There's
ending
also-
was pretty
yeah.
happy.
No, yeah, he had to go home,
Gonna see his kid finally.
marching to his wife's father's house to see his family. That was cool.
I'm kind of crazy because I chose a dystopian novel.
Mm.
But
It made you
Sun by
happy.
Lois Lowry.
Lowry,
I can't pronounce names,
we know.
but
That's a
It's
pretty
like-
cover too.
it makes me so happy when I finish it because the ending is just so beautiful.
And then I chose a Snicker of Magic.
You're holding it upside down.
I chose a Snicker of Magic. Maybe if you guys didn't make me hold all the books all the time, I could keep mine right.
By Natalie
By
Lloyd.
Natalie Lloyd. It's a very, very cute middle grade novel. It'd make a great read aloud book. Lots of fun. Okay, favorite book to movie or TV adaptation that you saw this year? This one was hard because it's hard to remember what we saw this year because we don't watch a lot of
Like,
stuff.
the only thing I could think of is Dumbo, which apparently was a children's book, but I didn't read it this year, and I don't know if I've ever read it.
I don't think I've ever read Dumbo, so.
I never have. So I'm cheating. I have never read The Princess Bride, but I love the movie. So.
And we watched it like last week,
Yes.
so we definitely watched it this year.
It works.
And then I also am cheating because I have not read the book that I'm going to list either, but my husband and I watched Good Omens season 1 on Amazon, and now I'm on the wait list for a digital copy of Good Omens at the library. I'm number 15, and they've got 4 copies, so it may be a while. Favorite review you've written this year?
Nothing. All my reviews stink.
So I was in a writing class this year, and we did a lot of critiques. And the favorite critique that I wrote was The Wreck of Hesperus. On The Wreck of Hesperus. And
Which is...
a poem by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow.
Thank you for people who are not as poetically inclined.
Traitor in our midst.
I like to write poems. I just... Meh.
Okay, so...
It's a really depressing poem, but I seem to have like a hopeful point of view, because everything I read has hope in it. It, like, life after death, memento mori.
I'm
That's
warping my
remember
children.
You will die.
Yeah.
by the
Yeah,
way.
I know, but
Tempus fugit memento mori. Time is short. Remember death.
Yep.
The motto of the Knights of Columbus. Part of why my children are twisted.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay, so my favorite review that I've written this year isn't one that I wrote because I didn't really want to go through Goodreads to see what I actually wrote a review for and didn't write a review
I
for.
figured out how to do that easily. It was nice.
Well, you can show me sometime, and then maybe I won't have to cheat next time. But I decided my favorite review that I've done this year, since, I don't write all my reviews, was I did a triple book review and discussion with Brett. And we did one on The Benedict Option, The Awakening of Miss Prim, and Strangers in a Strange Land by Archbishop Charles Chaput. So that was my favorite.
And I guess if we're going to go with videos, since somebody's already cheating, I'm going to go with The Book Thief. That was a pretty good review that we did.
Fairly.
Okay. Most beautiful book you've bought or received so far this year?
I had one, and we couldn't find it anywhere.
I
And
don't.
Charlotte claims it
hallucinated
doesn't
it.
exist, and it,
It
does.
doesn't.
It
It
does.
doesn't. She says she connects it with me for my schoolwork.
It does. They
And-
think I'm thinking of this, and I'm not thinking of this. This is pretty, but not what I
Well,
was
if
thinking
you
of.
aren't thinking of that, then it doesn't exist.
We have no idea. She's like, it's a blue book with maybe one red and one white feather on the cover. So if you know a book
Yes.
that has
Yeah.
Yes, that would
a
be
turquoise
awesome.
tealy blue, not a dark blue, but a
Yes.
tealy blue cover with a red feather and a white feather and might be about Greek mythology or
Some sort of classic, I think, of some sort.
a classic or a mystery or something that Charlotte did for school this past year.
Go ahead and tell
Yes.
us so I can find it.
We can't find this book, so
No.
whatever this book is cannot be found.
But because I had to compromise, I'm either choosing Purgatory by Dante, published by Modern Library, because it's pretty,
I do think that one's pretty.
even though it's not as pretty as the one I had in
Oh
mind, but okay.
my goodness.
And then The Crowns of Croswald, because the fairies are really pretty, and I like the yellow and
They're
pinks.
actually called Harrys. You'll find that out
Harrys?
when you read it.
Harry?
Okay,
They-
the
they-
Harrys are very
I didn't write it. I just read it. So they're Harrys, and it's what they use for light.
Ooh, and I also like the moon on the back.
Okay.
Harry fairies.
Harry fairies. So, Charlotte has my answer and her answer.
Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte.
And this
It
is
is
a
a
Barnes and
beautiful
Noble edition, I think.
Yes, it has like purple beanies and
I don't like this one, personally, this part of it.
Critic. And it's like all nice and leathery.
Or the background color, because it's kind of greenish.
See, the rest of us, however, like this. And the last question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? Many, many, many books. So,
I have one.
Okay, it has one.
And this one, if we owned it, it would probably be my first choice for prettiest cover. 'Cause it's very beautiful. But it's Valentine Joe by Rebecca Stevens. And surprise, surprise, it's about World War II.
Gosh!
But it sounds amazing. It's about this girl who goes to France with her grandpa, I think. And then she sees this, like, ghost of a soldier heading off to the front lines or something like that. I haven't read it, but it sounds cool.
Okay.
Sounds like Eva.
And it was a pretty cover, so
Yes.
bonus.
Of course. My dad has been reading O Pioneers by Willa Cather recently, and he has suggested it strongly to the three of us. So
Charlotte's the only one listening. You'll notice.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't hear that at all, but okay.
He's been telling me to read it for like years.
So I am going to read it by the end of this year.
And it's not that I have anything against Willa Cather or don't want to read O Pioneers. It's just not at the very tip top of my list.
That's a pretty cover, too.
Really, I think that's kind of an ugly cover.
It is.
I don't think so. I mean, like, you would need to do something about the penguin in this thing, but I like
It's a
the
penguin
background.
classic.
Yeah,
It's
but
gonna
make
have the
it
penguin.
not mint green.
That's the color of the Penguin Classics penguin.
It is? I feel like they changed the
Yes.
color depending on the
Oh,
thing.
maybe that was just the one in the 80s. That
Yeah,
makes
I
me
have a
think of the
feeling.
80s. Okay, so things I need to finish or I need to read before the end of the year. I need to finish my Catholic 2019 challenge, and I have maybe 5 or 6 books left on that one, which isn't so bad because it was only 19 books. I need to finish my Read Your Way to Heaven Year 2, which I think I have 3 books left, maybe. And I also need to read the second of the Crowns of Croswald series, The Girl with the Whispering Shadow by D.E. Knight, because I was sent this one for review. So I want to review it, plus I enjoyed the first one. It was really cute. So I will probably read this one sometime in July or August. Okay. Anything else anyone wants to add?
If you do know what that book is, the book with
Tell
the
me.
the
Please.
hallucination. I am curious.
It's not a hallucination. It's
We
real.
did find out that Goodreads does have a list of books with feathers on the cover, but it wasn't any of the 78 books on that list. So we did check at least 78 covers.
Yep.
For this imaginary book that he
It
dreamed
is
of.
not imaginary. You remember it. Why'd you keep saying it's imaginary?
Now I'm not so sure I remember
No.
the feathers.
Well,
Particularly teal. I was thinking dark blue, and then you're like, oh no,
Okay.
it's teal.
no, it might be dark blue. I think it might be dark blue. Dark blue with feathers on it.
Why am I a part of this family?
Genetics.
I'd like to point out you've talked about Waking Rose like every 6 seconds.
Okay, I think we'll end this here. Please let us know in the comments if
you
you
find
can
my
think
book.
of that book, or if you have any other comments for our craziness. Feel free to subscribe if you don't want to miss a video. And we will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.